This is the New Writer Podcast. I'm Matt Brotherton, and each week I detail my journey as a storyteller in hopes it encourages other writers struggling to live their dreams. Show notes and videos can be found at newwriterpodcast.com. And now, here's the show. Welcome to New Writer Podcast, episode 29, weekly update for August 7th, 2015. This week, I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about some of my own negative beliefs about writing and how they've impacted my journey as a writer. But first, your weekly update. As promised, every week I will continue to tell you about my sales and my writing progress. I don't know if you guys get any benefit for that. If you don't, let me know. I'll stop doing it. If you do, I will continue to do it for as long as I can. So here are some of the numbers. The official breakdown, the total breakdown, is available on newwriterpodcast.com/29. So you can go there and get everything broken down by day job, blog posts, whatever, sales per book. This week has been a little bit slower for me as a writer than I would have liked it to be. I was really hoping to get a lot of momentum done on my space opera this week. I still am optimistic about getting it done by the 15th of August. I've got 8 more days. I can do it. I've written that fast in the past, but I'm not super hopeful because I only wrote 7,633 words total on it this week, which is, roughly a tenth of the book. And that was in 7 days, and I've got 8 days to write the other 90%. But hopefully I can get that done. I've been doing a lot of writing at work this week, which is one of the reasons that prompted me to start to talk about the topic for tonight. And I'm going to cover that. I wrote about 7,000 words for my day job where I am not a professional writer. It's a very small piece of what I do, but it made me realize how much writing impacts my day job career and how it was actually a big factor in me getting the position I have, and how it makes maybe I should think about what it means to be a professional writer a little bit more differently than I have in the past. I wrote 3,000 words worth of blog posts and about 5,700 words on everything else. My total word count for this week, not counting my day job words because they're not on that spreadsheet, is somewhere around 26,000 words for the week, which is a lot, but not all of it is usable. And so I like to keep track of that number, but it's not necessarily mean anything. Some of it can just be gibberish of me clearing my mind out each morning with 750words.com, which is actually where my biggest accomplishment is at. I decided at the beginning of July I was going to redouble my efforts to write every single day. Today, as I'm recording this, is August 7th, and I have hit 38 days in a row without missing a day. So I've written at least 750 words every day for the last 38 days. One of the really cool things about that is you get a little badge when you hit certain milestones. I hit the 30-day milestone, which gave me an albatross, and the next badge is the Phoenix at 100 days. Got a ways to go before I get there, but I am definitely going to get that Phoenix badge. I just won't let myself down, is all there is to it. So, as long as I'm moving forward, I'll be okay with what I'm trying to do, and I am definitely moving forward. I'm definitely writing every day and getting that done. It feels good. I'm making headway, even if I'm not finishing a book. So, sales. By the standards of some authors I know, sales for me this week would have been abysmal, but for me, they were pretty awesome. I actually sold 11 total books this week across the Seven Keys Saga series, and have made somewhere around $18, which means I have actually made more money this month, the first week of August, than I made in all of May as a writer. So that's like a big step forward. I'm on par to beat June, and I might even beat, April was my best month ever. I made about $60, but I had promotions in there also. So I haven't done any promotions at all. The only thing that's happened this week is book 5 of the Seven Keys Saga did come out, but its sales haven't been exactly gangbusters. I've only sold 3 copies of that, and considering there's 20 people on my mailing list, it is what it is. Alcohologist Chronicles also finished up its free run of doing 5 days of every single episode in the serial this week. And I had 20 total books downloaded for this week across the two titles that kind of mesh together. So that's where I'm at on sales. The biggest news for me, the big cool thing for me in sales is that I'm starting to see some pretty standard trickling in of books being sold on Amazon in Germany. And so I can now say I'm an international author. I don't think Canada counts for the US. Sorry, Canucks, but you're America's hat. So it is what it is. I don't think you get to count our sales either for Canadian international sales. It's just, we're all one big happy continent, right? So let's get on with this week's topic, which is breaking my own negative beliefs about writing. Where what made me decide to do this topic this morning when I was doing my free writing was the realization that I spent years as a blogger and never considered myself a writer. I do a substantial amount of technical writing and revising and even a little bit of script writing at work, and I don't consider any of that part of being a writer. I only consider fiction, and that is just not even something that should be out there in the world. Like, poetry is writing, guys. Nonfiction is writing. Fiction is writing. There's a lot of types of writer, and I need to accept that I love writing those things. And because I do those, I'm still writing. I'm still working on being a writer when I do those things. Specifically, the blogging essays. I have always loved blogging ever since I first started it. And when I mean first started it, I mean like on my live journal back in 2001. I like writing little tiny things to try to cheer people up or make someone laugh or make them think. It is a big part of my identity as a writer, but I never really considered it part of being a writer. I only considered it something that I did in my spare time as sort of a therapeutic thing without realizing that that had value in the world. Since I've begun doing more of those essays, making an effort to make that a part of my writing life, I have felt more accomplished and completed as a writer than I had for the first 6 months of this year. I actually have kind of rediscovered my love for writing in a lot of ways. It kind of refills my creative well, so to speak. So that is one of those trigger moments where you have to stop and go, wait a minute, I'm thinking about this all wrong. Because the other realization I had this week is writing shouldn't be hard. I know a lot of you who are watching this or listening to this are probably going, no, you giant jerk. Writing is very, very hard, but it shouldn't be. And the reason it shouldn't be hard is because if you enjoy what you're writing, and I know you have had this experience if you're a writer, if you enjoy what you're writing, time just sails by, it flows, and it's smooth, and it's fun, and it's great. And sometimes that doesn't work out that way. You have to force that, but when it does, writing is easy, and you know that those are the times when you get your best writing out there. So when I think of everybody saying writing is hard, it's work, it's all of this and all of that, I'm going, it shouldn't be. If you're really, really struggling to get something on paper, maybe you're writing the wrong thing. And trust me, I know a lot about writing the wrong thing. I wrote Alcohologist Chronicles. The point of the story here is when you enjoy what you're doing, when you enjoy your writing, it becomes a lot easier. It's still work. I don't want you to think it's not work. It's still time you have to spend doing it. You still have to devote yourself to it. You have to build yourself up for that. But it's not hard work. It's work of love. It's pleasurable work. It's kind of like sex in that way. Sex burns a lot of calories, but you don't really mind doing it. There are some things you can do to make your life easier as a writer also. And some of them are things I've covered, some of them are things other people cover, like first, change your perception. If you go into it going, I have to sit down and write, then the entire time you're writing, you're going to be thinking that I have to do this, that I am doing my job. And that's not a good mental state to be in as a writer. When you look at writing as a chore, as a task of something you have to do, of course it's going to suck. Anything you have to do that you don't want to do is going to suck. So the first step to making your writing easier for you is to sit down and say, I get to write now. Which, trust me when I say, our ancestors would be pretty damn jealous of. I am certain that my ancestors specifically went, what's words 200 years ago, and would be jealous of having just the free time to create and not, I don't know, steal horses. My ancestors were not necessarily great people. The second part of it is having a plan, and this is not the same as plotting. A lot of people confuse plotting and planning, and that's because of the terminology we use. When I say have a plan, I mean know exactly what you want to be doing as a writer. Don't just sit down and go, I'm going to write fiction. Sit down and go, I'm going to write this particular work tonight. I'm going to work on this. I want to work on this. I am planning to work on this. I get to work on this. Otherwise, your mind is going to run rampant. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be a pantser. That doesn't mean you can't sit down and go, I don't know what's going to happen in this story, but you got to know that you're going to work on that story. And that is something I actually have struggled with, because sometimes I sit down and go, I have to write this book because readers are expecting it, but my mind will keep running back to other things that it wants to work on. And I had to accept that I'm not a one project at a time kind of guy, and that's where blogging has actually helped refill my bucket, is because I get to work on something else for 500 to 1500 words and then move on. The next part of it is totally practice. You write every day, you're gonna feel better about your writing. You know, it's like, I imagine it is for runners. Obviously, I'm not a runner. But I hear that if you run every single day, eventually it doesn't suck. I don't believe them when they tell me that, but that's what I hear. Writing's the same way. When you write every single day, eventually you get to the point where you've written 750 words before you realize you actually got out of bed in the morning, which happened to me this week. Maybe I need to start getting more sleep. It wasn't any good. It's not usable, but it was there and I don't remember writing it. So there's that. The point is, practice makes it a habit, and habits are easy. Habits are great. Habits are so easy, so great, that we actually have a lot of books out there devoted to getting rid of bad ones. I don't know. Maybe writing is not your habit. Make it your habit. Just do what you need to do to make it that. And then it's not hard anymore. Because it should never be a struggle. If it's a struggle, you should evaluate why it's a struggle. Are you writing the things you want to write? Is it a plot issue? Because sometimes if it's just a plot issue, do like Stephen King does and blow everybody up. Or, like I said, switch back to a different type of writing. Take a break from that piece. Write a blog post. Write a poem. Write a 3-minute long script for an instructional video for your office. Those things help. They rekindle parts of your mind and get you distracted. And sometimes just being distracted is what you really need. Anyway, I think that is about all the ranting I have for tonight. I will see you guys next week. Be sure to head over to newwriterpodcast.com/29 to find the show notes for this episode, along with an official breakdown of my sales and words. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the New Writer Podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. We welcome reviews and appreciate your feedback. If you have questions or would like to be on the show, please email us, contact@newwriterpodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Have a nice night.